Final seconds, Hooter goes. There's no reaction from the Giants bench, and there is now. It's over in Coventry. The Coventry Blaze have beaten the Sheffield Steelers, and the point means the Belfast Giants are the Elite League champions. It's a giant night in Nottingham.
This is A View from the Bridge, official podcast of the Belfast. Let's back that up. Official podcast of your 2024-2025 Elite League champion, Stanline Belfast Giants. My name is Patrick Smith. I'm joined by the Belfast Giants statistician and a man who was picking up the broken sticks on Sunday night, Mr. David McJimsey, and down below me, a man who keeps the wheels running at the Belfast Giants organisation and the local hockey legend that is Simon Kitchen. Over the next hour, we'll be celebrating what is the eighth league title for the Belfast Giants, seventh Elite League title, eighth title in total for your Belfast Giants. And we'll be looking back at what was a fantastic blockbuster weekend. We're live and on demand on YouTube, X, Facebook. You can listen to us from all the really good podcast providers. If you're listening live, send us your notes, send us your celebrations. And if you're Sheffield Steelers fans, send us your dejections. We'll have those as well. On this week's show, well, what else are we going to talk about? It was after 53 games, we go into the 54th game. And it still takes 56. After 56 minutes of that game, we still didn't know where the title was going to. It all pivoted in those final 4 minutes, and the Belfast Giants picked up that trophy. We will have Mark Cooper, the captain, coming to join us. Bobo Carpenter coming to join us. We'll have Robert Fitzpatrick on the show as well, and we'll be chatting to Mark Brooks of the Elite League. Mr. McJimsey, how are you?
I'm still a bit tired from the weekend, but
you might not be the only one.
No, it was really good. Never in doubt. I don't know what you mean by that. All that, it went the last 3 minutes, but we just had them on strings the whole time. It was great.
Mr. Kitchen, you made the trip over. How are you doing? Can't hear us. Can you hear us? Hello? It's all gone quiet.
He's froze. Bad internet. Move on.
Move on. Well, do you know what? Let's get stuck in. We'll bring this in. Oh, you can hear us.
But you keep on going on that. I don't know if it's me or you, but it's it's
as a girl said to me once. As a girl said to me once, it's not me, it's you.
give it a reboot. Says come back in. We'll see what happens. Well, we're going to crack on. We're going to invite onto the show right now the captain of the Elite League champion Belfast Giants. Delighted to have joined us, Mark Cooper. How are you doing, Coops?
Good, guys. Thank you for having me.
You can hear us, can't you? A round of applause.
Oh, thank you.
How have the celebrations been?
Great. Sunday night didn't start right away. We had to wait about 30 minutes for the trophy to arrive, but they had begun, but not officially begun. And then we got to the salt box there and greeted a bunch of the fans that were at the game. And had a good night there, and then continued on in Belfast yesterday. So it's been a couple fun days.
It was one of those, like, it was a tense game for watching on. What was it like being on the bench?
It's definitely more tense watching. Last year I got to experience too much watching, and there's definitely nerves and stuff on the bench, but it's more before the game. Once you're in the game, you're kind of in the fight, and we knew we could control it last night, so we didn't really have to worry about anything else. And that was kind of where the approach we took, and then got to enjoy the ride the last couple of days.
Coops, we talked. Who did we have on last week, Paddy?
I don't know.
We talked to one of the players over the last couple of weeks about veteran leadership and guys that have been there and done that. And like I saw from close hand on Sunday, there was no panic. Even when we were 3-1 down, there was no panic. It was like, let's get the next shift. Let's get it deep. Let's get pucks on. It was no, oh, we're in trouble here.
No, I thought we definitely had been creating that game, maybe giving up a little too much defensively, but I think the belief in this group, and then especially in big games, we've shown that we've been able to kind of win them all this year, the do or die situations. So this group I knew was just going to find a way, and we chipped away at it, and then 2-3 had himself a good weekend. So a couple of game winners and a huge second goal yesterday. So it was just belief in the group and wanting to bring back that second trophy to Belfast.
Coops, over the last few years, you've been lucky enough to lift a trophy in Belfast as an assistant captain. Over the last 4 weeks, you've had the honour of being the first to get the trophy and raising it above your head to skate towards your teammates. Tell us about the feeling go through your head when you lifted that trophy. I know the Challenge Cup's important, absolutely, but lifting that trophy that you've had to go through a marathon for over the last 8 months and then turn around and skating towards your teammates must have been pretty special.
Yeah. Sorry, what? You guys? Oh yeah. No, yeah, for sure. The Challenge Cup one was great, but then this one is a full body of work, and I think we had a group that was here pretty much the whole year, and so like going through the ups and downs with the same group from late August, it's kind of all comes together, and you think about the memories and the tight games and the games that you just got that extra point, like the one in Dundee when we were just grinded to tie and then got the OT winner. That one comes to mind, but just kind of everything coming together, and just so happy to take it back and celebrate with those guys.
And obviously, you know, the PO was taking a little bit more care with this one this week.
You know what? I was thinking that as well.
Sorry, I cut out for a sec.
Just PO took a little bit more care with the league trophy. I mean, I'm not blaming that. I'm pretty sure that trophy was damaged before we got our hands on it a few weeks ago in the Challenge Cup. But he certainly took a little bit more care getting his hands on that Elite League trophy.
Yeah, no, I was keeping an eye on him this time. Who was getting it, but no, he that's a one heck of a memory as well, just especially because it wasn't really his fault, so we like to give him crap for it for sure. But we kept this trophy intact the last couple of days, and it's been fun to celebrate with.
So, you know, give us a bit of an insight as well. Obviously, the word comes on the bench that Sheffield have lost, and that the Elite League title is ours. And then we still have the overtime to play. Now, there was a big gap in there, you know, and we'll talk about the game and all after we chat to you, but there was a big gap in there. How much did you really want to play that overtime period?
Yeah. No, that gap was weird for sure. Can you hear me, guys?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, sorry. No, the gap was it was weird because I was actually on the ice skating down by our fans, and I heard our fans start chanting "Let's go Giants" when the game was over. So I knew something was up, and I looked back at the bench. Guys were jumping up and down, and I think I was last to get there, but I was like, did we win? And then I wanted some confirmation, and then it was all right. Like, let's focus on that, and then once we kind of settled down there, it was just reset and try and win in overtime. And Mike Lee with JJ Picknich with a big play, but I think just a stress-free overtime and just wanting to get to the next part, which is what we're watching right here.
I thought it was interesting too, Coops, that with the break, Adam got, and he mentioned it in Saltbox as well when he's on the stage, wanting to win it rather than, you know, he got the guys round. He says to them, go and win in overtime now. Like, don't leave anything out there. Go and win it. Get that last puck. Fill your boots, and then go and party tonight. He wanted to win.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think knowing that, like, we needed to win that game to win the league, regardless of what happened in Coventry, and I think that was the mentality going in. And Kiefer was able to refocus us for that 5 minutes there, or we scored like 2 minutes in or something. But yeah, we just refocus and go get the win. And we got to take everything seriously. We had I guess realistically 5 unserious minutes this year, which was it's easy to get out of your ways, but just for 5 minutes it's easy, and then now we got to refocus on Dundee here.
And like even in overtime, like West made some big saves even at 3-1 down, but there was one massive save in overtime as well to keep it 1-1, and as you say, then we'll break down the ice, and Spike with the second game winning goal in as many nights.
Yeah, no, West was incredible this weekend. You saw a couple of those saves on Saturday, and then just again great on Sunday. Both of our goalies have been incredible this last stretch here. Team hasn't been getting the results, I guess, but we've been playing all right. But the goalies have stood on their heads, so they're both massive parts in this championship, and just and then that save Whistle made at the end of the second on Saturday was season saving. So that's another memory that goes through your head. The big saves when you're lifting that trophy.
So, Coops, you got to take time. You got to enjoy it, and absolutely you should enjoy it. But then the time comes to refocus. We've got Dundee twice, and in order to reach those finals, in Nottingham, and the opportunities there to do something great again.
Yeah, no, for sure. The goal in Belfast is always that the 3 trophies there. So, I think we're back training tomorrow morning. At lovely Dundonald, so that'll get us right back into it. I think we're excited for the next one. Tomorrow will just be like a reset practice, and then Thursday, Friday, get our heads in it, and then go to work Saturday. I'm glad the first one's at home. We can use our crowd energy again, and I'm sure everyone will be buzzing to see what they have in store.
Well, listen, mate, congratulations. Your face in that photo will be on the captain's wall holding that trophy high above your head, and well deserved it is. We've got another one to go for, mate. We hope that we see you again with another trophy over your head in a couple of weeks' time. Thanks for joining us, mate. Congratulations.
Cheers, guys. Thank you. Yeah, no, it was awesome. Thanks for all the support all year, too.
No worries, mate.
Yeah.
Take it all easy.
See you guys. Bye-bye.
Big thanks to Mark Cooper for coming to join us after the league title win. Boys, let's have a chat about those games quickly before our next guest comes in. It was 2 games of the weekend, as we know, for the Belfast Giants. 2-1 in overtime in Belfast, 4-3 in overtime in Nottingham. Let's have a quick look at the game at home. Let's hear from the coaches.
Yeah, I thought it was a great start from our group. Obviously, we get the lead on big goal by our leading scorer, Collins. I mean, that's a big-time shot there, and it was going to take that to beat that guy tonight. On the other side of that, I thought, yeah, you're right, the second period, we saw Nottingham fighting for their lives there, and particularly at the end of the second period there, I mean, what a save from Jackson Whistle to keep it 1-0 up. Unfortunate to let them tie it up there to start that game, but I thought the guys, despite being a little fatigued from the second period, I thought the guys really battled and competed there hard in the third period, and we had our opportunities to score. They had some as well. It was like you said, a great advert for UK ice hockey. Just happy we got the extra point there. It's a big-time goal, big-time play by Bobo there, and a big-time finish by Mike Lee to get us the 2 points, and then ultimately, that's a massive win for us.
Look, I thought I feel for the guys because they left it all out there, and that's all we can ask of them. You know what, I think, first period, I think Belfast was really good. I don't think we were necessarily bad. I think they just were a little bit better than us. But I think second and third, we really I think about 6-7 minutes into that second period, we changed the tide a little bit. And I thought for the rest of the game, we had probably the better of play and better of chances. But, Whistle made a big one at the end of the second there. We got a big goal at the start of the first, gave us some momentum. And I thought we had a couple of really good looks for the 6 and 5, and just unfortunately couldn't find the back of the net.
Goal scorer for the Nottingham Panthers was Tim Doherty, and the goal scorers for your Belfast Giants were Scott Conway and Mike Lee with the overtime winner. It was Jackson Whistle in nets. Davey, tense, really tense. I felt this game on, there would need to be a bit of a jump. Nottingham put a good thing into it, but I felt this game was just tension all the way through.
Yeah, it was a great advert for the league, the product that's put on this time of season. Teams really elevate their game, and I thought both teams through in periods that game were absolutely exceptional. Obviously, getting a good start from us with a great one-timer from Cons, and then went through like a bit of a transition that second. They got the goal and made the whole game tense. That save from Wiss, the rebounds kicked out there, and he's got more or less an open case to fire into, and he somehow gets the pad and the stick. I think he paddles maybe onto the bar or just up over. It's hard to tell from the rebound, but Art from the replay says was commentating. He'll be the better view on it than I did. But just, as you say, tension. And it was all just that the performance didn't matter, although I thought it was pretty decent performance from both teams. It was just about the result. And when they pulled a goalie at the end and, we're trying to well an empty netter in, the noise from the crowd, it was bedlam. It was unbelievable, the noise, and then obviously you come away with it getting Spike sent down the ice there to get the 1-on-none and coming up with a massive goal to kind of put the Panthers out of it and to keep us alive. And then obviously the screens switch on from the other game, and it's unbelievable just the way the storyline played out over the weekend of how close it actually ended up being for both teams. Like with a couple of minutes to go on Sunday, anyone was still in with a chance of winning it. But that was not much analysis on these games, Paddy, to give, to be honest. That was just more a case of play the game, not the occasion, and get the result. And just thankfully we came out on the right side of both results over the weekend.
That's basically it. And says, these games had their, well, we'll start with this game in particular, had its flash moments. Davies mentioned the save from Jackson Whistle, which was one of the saves of the season, if not the save of the season. You got that absolute stunner of a finish from Scott Conway to put us ahead in 13 minutes into the first period. A lovely finish there. Again, Nottingham played their part in a big way also.
Yeah, look, I just want to go back to what Davey said right at the very start of his analysis. I really enjoyed calling the game, but I thought the game was brilliant. It was definitely one of those ones where it's sort of like something was on the line. You knew something was on the line. Nottingham, came into to Belfast on Friday. They were prepared. They were ready to go. And obviously, the boys have been practicing hard all week. And coming in off the back of that 5-1 loss against Manchester the week before wasn't going to be easy. And things they got can niggle in the back of your head. And the coaching team's obviously done a good job to try and, settle it down and just get prepared. I thought we were really good early on, to get that goal. We hit the post a couple of times in the first period. We hit the post a couple of times in the second and third. Crossbar as well from Cons about, I think it was 2 shifts before his goal. That save from Jackson was absolutely fantastic. I mean, we had a great view of it. It's Mark Cooper sort of said like a season-saving save, and I think he's probably right, especially at the time that save is actually made. You're talking like 3 or 4 seconds before the end of the second period. However, we were sleeping at the start of the third, and they came out and scored in 20 seconds or something like that into the third period. And, you're sitting thinking, oh, God, no, we need to be better, and we need to be just, keep plugging away. But the fans in the building on Saturday night were absolutely fantastic. They never stopped. Danny, sitting up in the corner with a drum he was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant. And then if there was a little bit of a lull over in that corner, all you hear was Big Gavin Kelly giving it stacks in the other corner, and everybody's getting back up for it again. But it was just the whole atmosphere around the arena itself was. I actually said after the game that I sort of thought it was as loud going back to when Dave and I commentated in the 2017 Continental Cup final, even though we lost that game. The noise was just incredible, and the reverbing right the whole way around the arena. And again, to come out with that 2-1 win in overtime, sort of give that momentum. You knew obviously Nottingham are then done. They can't win the league, and that sort of brings it down to a 2-horse race. But you still needed to win the next night. It was vitally important that you get that momentum to go on the next night and go on the road against Nottingham in a tough building. But I just thought it was a brilliant advert for UK hockey, and just delighted to get the 2 points.
So much fun to watch. We're going to crack on, boys. We're going to crack on and look at this game. That the Belfast Giants took that 2-1 win in overtime with a Mike Lee special to finish it, and that was the case, I guess. Sorry, David, did you have something you wanted to?
No, but we might as well let him get the glory of his goal.
Oh, absolutely.
On the highlights, be wrong not to. So we'll filibuster for a minute.
Sorry?
We'll filibuster for a minute and let him get his goal. But this is the 3-on-3 play here.
The 3-on-3 play here, and it was just a lovely move as well, just to let him break free. And it was like both nights had those tensions where the tension builds so much that when you get a goal like this, then the release from the fans is just absolutely epic. You talk about the noise from the guys. I think I was watching it here in Manchester, and I think my neighbours were going to call the police for the amount of screaming that was going on in our kitchen.
Listen, I know Sis said early in the season, like, you finish above big fan of Cardiff Devils in terms of what they put together. But I think we've both said at separate times as well. Says, like, for me, that was the best two teams in the league on the ice at the weekend.
Yeah, no, Nottingham have been fantastic. When you look at budgets, Cardiff Devils and Sheffield have got the two biggest budgets in the league. Nottingham's not far off it. Everybody keeps on saying that we spend money going out of fashion. Let me tell you something. Our budget certainly. When you look at our travel budget compared to anybody else in the league, if anybody had our travel budget, then you'd see how important it is that we've some really good sponsors. But no, Dave, you're absolutely right. It's absolutely vitally important. And I mean, just looking at Mike Lee there getting that winner, and he enjoyed. And believe you me, he made sure he let me know about it as well.
And do you know what? And I think and I'm sure it's not. Sometimes it's warranted, sometimes it's unwarranted. And I'm not going to decide on that. Mike Lee's come in for criticism these last number of weeks, and from the fan base, and I think that shows exactly what Mike Lee brings to what he brings, not just defensively, but he's so patient when it comes to offensively. It's a brilliant finish.
Nearly wiped
the referee. You're going to say about the referee. I thought he was going to hug the referee at one point. But, when you look at Mike Lee's input on Saturday night, I think he played about 27 minutes. Don't forget, we were missing Basti.
Yep.
And Bo Hansen got hurt in the game. So, Roche himself, Balmer, the defensive core really had to step up. And obviously we missed Basti and Bo on Sunday night. So, it was vitally important that for him to do that and played so many minutes and still get the jump to go ahead on a breakaway and obviously put it away was just phenomenal.
Sorry, I'm having flashbacks now. Says when you talk about the adversity of that game, Bobo Carpenter went out of the game for a while hurt. Scott Conway blocked a massive shot. I think even the first or second period, missed a section of the game. Bo Hansen went out of the game. Josh Roach stepped in and out of the game. There was adversity in that game. The Lions were having to switch up, and as you say, like the likes of Spike, they're having to play maybe 5 more minutes than usual, and really well. And we said to him on Sunday night, you were there as well. Says about he's came in for criticism, especially on Twitter and stuff over the last lot of weeks. 3 goals, 2 game winners in 2 nights, and arguably the 2 biggest games this season. So come to our fair play to him.
We have Bobo Carpenter waiting in the wings. We're going to have a quick crack at this Sunday game, and we'll bring him in a short while. But let's hear from the coaches on Sunday's game. It was a 4-3 win in overtime for the Belfast Giants.
Panthers TV with head coach Danny Stewart, and Danny, the team gave everything this weekend.
Yeah, I know they certainly did, man. They were as good as from a compete standpoint, they were as good as they've been in a long time, and under tough circumstances. Going to Belfast, knowing that we needed a regulation win. Belfast was very, very good at the start of that game, but I thought second, third period we were very good, and very unfortunate not to get that second one and win in regulation. Obviously, seeing the result in Sheffield, it wouldn't have made a difference in terms of our standing. But and then tonight again, a game, I guess in terms of standings and positioning, a nothing game for us. But we're professional sportsmen at the end of the day, and we have a duty to come out in front of a home crowd, a sold out building, to put in a performance, and the guys did that. And under tough circumstances, I know Chris has spoken about it a little bit, and we had a little bug going through the room here, 3 or 4 guys, under the weather, and so for them to kind of just suck it up and go out there and play was fair play to them.
On the ice with Giants head coach Adam Keefe, and You must be really delighted with that, an Elite League championship for the Belfast Giants once again.
Yeah, I mean, all the credit goes to the players. You know, it was pretty special. It wasn't our most perfect performance tonight, but these guys got it across the line in the dying minutes of the season. They were great. They've earned the right to do that through 8 months of this year, and that's what this league's all about. It's a 8-month grind to the final, and you know, I always said champions come to play at the most important times, and these guys all turned up here and grinded that one out and got a big win. I was extra proud of them for keeping composure and getting that second point and doing it the right way. You know, it didn't matter what happened in Coventry. These boys got 2 points tonight and a big win, and they're league champions. I'm very happy and very proud for them. And thank you to all the fan support. You guys have been fantastic all season long. Traveling with us, the support at home is second to none. You drive these guys on. Fantastic. We're so happy to bring 2 trophies to Belfast. And after we sober these guys up on Wednesday or Thursday, we're going to go after that third one. So thank you guys again for all your support. And these guys are not going to be sober for too long here. So we'll see how that turns out. We're just waiting on this trophy. I don't know why he drove so far to Coventry. He should have been here ready and waiting for the real league champions.
I love it. I love the fact that since like I said this, we'll have an interview later with Mark Brooks, and I spoke to him afterwards and I said what I loved Adam Keefe, once that league title was secure, then Adam just went on to just like, you know what, this is it. I'm going to enjoy myself here, and you could see they enjoying himself in that interview. The goals for the Nottingham Panthers were from Fossier. Doherty was second of the weekend, and Cooper Zek. For the Belfast Giants, Mark Cooper with the captain's goal, Mike Lee, Scott Conway, and then Mike Lee again in overtime to secure the 2 points and leave the Belfast Giants 3 points atop of the Elite League as it concluded on Sunday. The goalie was Jackson Wessel. Says, how were you feeling at 3-1 down?
I'm going to be honest. We were standing with it was myself and Laura and Michael Barr, and then we were all standing beside the boys that weren't playing. I said to Bo Hansen at the time, next goal's absolutely crucial. I said, we get this next goal, we're going to win the game. And we were standing at the second period, and obviously, Cooper Zek scored a really good goal. Quite sort of Ovechkin-esque when he's falling to the ice and, sort of just reaching out with a stick to throw it into the net. Around about the same time as Ovechkin scored his NHL breaking record. But for them to go 3-1 up, and obviously for the Giants to battle back, and you look back all the way to October when we brought in Carl Boudreau, and people having a go at Adam, going, what's he doing? Basically having a go at replacing. Obviously, we got a couple of forwards out injured at that time, and some people were having a go at him for maybe not the right appointment. We needed a big winger or whatever it was. Adam knows what he's at. And certainly Boudreau, who I thought was excellent all weekend as well. He's such a smooth skater. But, for us to come out and get that goal to make it 3-2, funny enough, with Spike Lee again, was vital, absolutely vital. And in the third period, I just thought we were, Gibby just touched on it there when he was talking about, the attitude on the bench when we were talking with Coops. It was just, you knew it was going to be, there's no desperation. And guys, you want to battle hard to get the front. And obviously Scott Conway did just that. And, 4-on-4, wee bit extra space out there, stepping out front, backhand into the net past the goaltender. And we were standing right down in that corner, going buck mad over it. But, fantastic. But this is where it comes down to, and this is what I said to Coops on the ice after the game. He came over and I was hugging him after the game, and I said to him, I said, this is what leadership does. This is what this game was calling out for. And for him to get that goal, skate more or less coast to coast, strap everybody else onto his back and go, right, let's go, boys. We got a short-handed goal here. We're in this game. We're going to basically knock our pan into to get the second trophy of the season. That goal is probably going to be one of the most important goals that we score in a long, long time. And for him to do that short-handed was fantastic. But I don't want to take all the airtime here. Let Davey have his view on it, and then we'll look to get Bobo in as well.
Well, that's it, Davey. Real captain's goal, that one. You were lucky enough to be down. Well, Bobo Carpenter just coming in just a moment, but you were lucky enough as well to be down on the bench and the atmosphere through that game. When Coop scores that short-hander, it was badly needed. Now, obviously, the Nottingham Panthers came back, and to be fair to the Nottingham Panthers, they had nothing to play for in this game except for entertaining a whole arena full of fans, a sold-out arena of fans. They came to play.
Well, they came with a looseness, I guess, too, Paddy. That no pressure situation for them. That you can play a wee bit freer. You can perhaps take a few more chances than you normally take, and defensively we'd given up a few power plays there. There's soft ones that we were disappointed in, and then we're obviously on the penalty kill when Coops comes up with that massive goal. Just takes a chance. Different time, he maybe just dumps it down in there and gets a change, but he sees an opportunity against who he's up against, and he drives down that left wing and gets in on the goalie and gets a shot away. Massive force at that point. But yes, as we said, the Coops when he's on earlier, there was a belief here, with next shot can be a goal. It only takes, you just have to work hard to get in these shooting lanes. And obviously Scott comes up with a big goal, and then Spike gets his, and things happen. The storyline was written, that what was going to happen in Sheffield happened, and we got across the line and say, don't need to overanalyze these games too much. It was the end of a long grind of a season, and for me, the best team always wins the league, and the best team won the league, lads.
That's just how it is. I'm going to bring one of those league champions, one of these league champion players in now. Delighted to welcome back to A View from the Bridge, Bobo Carpenter. How you doing, mate?
Good. How are you guys?
Doing really well. How's the celebrations been?
It's been great. It never gets old, especially from the Challenge Cup and to this one. That's why we do it, and it's enjoyable to make those memories after you put in all the work with the teammates.
We're as you can see, we're digging into this game here on Sunday. What was your take on it? Obviously, you look at those that are watching on now, see that in the highlights we're 3-1 down. What was the attitude on the bench at this? Because we're chasing a league title here.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about it. I mean, especially in this league, how more the focus is on the league championship and not through playoffs. So it's interesting just from me being my first year to see that and go through it. But for us on the bench, it's like any other game. The stakes, but when the puck drops in the first period, you're worrying about the next shift. You're worrying about helping your teammates, and kind of all that outside noise just goes to the back of your head. And we were just in fight mode till the end, and it showed as we blocked pucks and did all the little things to just get back and claw back into that game.
Bobo, we were talking to Coops a wee bit earlier there, and even though the celebrations had kind of half started because we knew that it was done, it was finished in the other rink, and that we were champions, we still wanted to go out and finish the job properly, go on and win the game rather than be a lame duck champion.
Absolutely. I think it showed as we went out there and Spike got that goal. I mean, it was a beautiful play too. So when we're playing, and that shows from practice and the start of the season when we're doing testing. Everyone competes, and that just builds off of one another. And when you keep doing that, it becomes second nature. And that's why we were at the top of the league. Consistency helps, and it showed throughout the season.
And you did reference there earlier there. It is a grind. It's a 54 game. It's for guys coming here for their first time, and you maybe weren't as aware of how important games and why Adam's being so hard on guys in September and October, like how important results are. And you went through it yourself. You had that horrible injury down in Manchester. And you had to sit out for a number of weeks, and get yourself right again. But it is a long season, but makes the celebrations all the more worthy.
Oh, you're on mute, Bobo.
I didn't know I did that. My bad. It's special because you are celebrating with the trophy, and all those stories come back up from 6-5 whatever months ago, and guys are like, oh, remember when that stupid thing happened, or remember when you were out. And that's the beauty of it though, because it's a team sport, and that's what makes it worth it, because other guys pick up the the pace, and they step in. So it makes it so enjoyable, and that's why the memories last forever.
That's a special little league where you had to wait for half an hour for the trophies to show up.
Yeah, we were busy buying time, kind of just waiting to see what to do. But that's another memory that I'll tell my kids. Like, we won a trophy before the game even ended. We won the trophy and it wasn't even in the building. Those are funny little things that happen, and it makes it special.
Says before you because we're just going to pause that there before you ask your question here. Let's just we hit that point. Let's just see that moment that took place in Coventry that led to those celebrations.
They've worked hard for the Blaze. I think Nick Seitz has been really good, but Jackson Cressy
has chased Greasock off the face-off. Something from nothing. The Coventry Blaze have got a ball. It's a broken play. The face-off got somewhat swamped. The puck fell nicely for Greasock, and he beats Greenfield high glove side. That might be a massive goal in the twists and turns of this season, Stu.
A massive goal for the Coventry Blaze. Chase Greasock gets his 32nd of the season, gets a tie for the league leading goals. Shot across, Matt Greenfield can't react quick enough, gets his glove up, but it's straight past him. And with 3:21 left on the clock in the Sky Dome, Coventry 4, Sheffield 3.
Quite the screen on Matt Greenfield there. Sorry, Simon, I interrupted you.
No problem, Mr. Troll. Bobo, just wanted to we talk about different moments of the game, and the one that sticks out in my head was from Sunday's game is we go 3-1 down. Adam calls a timeout. 2 shifts later, you guys are on the ice, PO and Gooch. PO does the hit in the corner. Niskell comes in, follows up on a bad hit with him, and then Lambo jumps in, and that for me was absolutely crucial, because you're 3-1 down. You don't want to take a stupid penalty, but you need to get in there to support your teammates. PO was on the ice. Witchers and Niskell were trying to get at him, and the Red Linesmen were trying to break that up. You came in, jumped Witchers as well, I think it was. But it's that camaraderie, which I'm going to be honest, we haven't really seen an awful lot of this season. But that, for me, was one of those points within that game on Sunday that and that Davey said to me 2 minutes ago, or Paddy said to me 2 minutes ago about he said, when you're 3-1 down, you sit and thinking the game's over, or what's your thoughts? As soon as I seen that, I knew if we get this next goal, we're going to win this game.
100%. And, that's what makes it special. Guys sacrifice their bodies year or every game and throughout the season. So, when guys sacrifice that, it means a lot more. And that's why it's so special to, come out on top and, make it worthwhile, have that celebration. I mean, I think it was like 3 games ago, Manchester had 36 block shots against us. And, you could see that we took a page out of that for the last 2 games of the season. And, those are crucial plays by guys, and it's not an easy thing to do to get in front of a major slash shot for some of these big defensemen. So when you see guys doing that, you just want to, do your part and help out as much as you can. And if I see a player running to someone else who's defenseless, then I want to be there to help them.
You get to lift that trophy above your head at the end when it's eventually right back in Nottingham. You get the opportunity to skate over towards the fans that remain in the building. And fair play, there was quite a few Nottingham fans that stayed, especially the ones sitting beside the bench. But, what's that moment like? And, not an awful lot of players get to celebrate that moment. And we've been very, very lucky over the last number of years where we have had a lot of silverware, and, we don't take it for granted. But 2 trophies, it sort of just wants you to take the bull by the horns and win 4 more games to get that 3rd.
It does. When you win, you get a taste of the celebration and what it feels like. It never gets old, and you want it again, and you do anything you can, like we just said, to make sure that happens. When lifting the trophy in that moment and watching all the guys, I don't know what goes through their heads, but for me, it's a lot of the sacrifice comes back into my mind that goes into it. And not just for me, but like my wife, my family, my parents. And that all starts when you're a little kid and they're traveling with you to road games and, driving you after their work day, and it's a long day for them, but it's very special to have that support. And Haley came halfway across the world for me to continue to play hockey and to celebrate that with her and have pictures with her. That's the most special thing to me. And they earned it just as much as we did on the ice.
Bobo, back-to-back championships for you. Obviously a Kelly Cup with the Florida Everblades last season. Now I hope you don't mind. I couldn't help myself. I had to take this off your Instagram stories. You have to give us a bit of an insight here. It's going to come up. I don't know if you can see that there. So obviously the Stanley Cup is when your dad Bobby won it with the New Jersey Devils. He was the first American to score 50 goals in the NHL in a single season.
Yes,
that's remarkable.
Yeah,
and then below that you've got the Kelly Cup with Florida, and below that the most important of all those trophies, of course, the Elite League title. But what I want to know is who's inside that trophy.
So I don't have the first one anymore. When I was a little kid, I don't even really remember putting that in there when I was a little kid or asking for that. But the puppy the past 2 years is our dog Lulu's. We got that for her when she was when we first got her. It has a heartbeat to replicate their moms when they get separated, and she takes care of it like it's her child. So I figured it'd be funny to put it in the trophies, and it's just kind of a tradition now. So hopefully I can do it again in the future.
Absolutely brilliant little tradition to have when you win trophies, and to do that, it was remarkable to see that Kelly Cup as well. I've never seen a photograph of the Kelly Cup. It's quite impressive trophy in itself.
It is impressive. It has seen better days after that picture. I will say that, but it's pretty cool, and I think that's the special thing about sports. Like, I mean, this trophy too this year is really. I think it's so sleek and simple. I think it's just perfect. And that's why it's so special, because you chase after those. I mean, 10 teams had a common goal of raising that, and to come out on top, it's not an easy thing.
I've got a couple of more questions, but one of them is, I follow you on Instagram and things like that. You seem to be having a great time at Belfast. You've had people visit and you've had a lot of fun. What is it about Belfast you've enjoyed?
It's the community. I mean, you see it in the rink every game, and that's why home games are so special, and that's why Saturday's going to be great. I remember after our first win, doing the celebration at the end in the center ice, and having all the fans scream. It makes it special to enjoy it and see people in the city and take a picture with them and show them the trophy. So having a place to play like that makes it special, and it's sad when it comes to an end like this.
Obviously, we have a couple more games. We've spoken about what we need to go after in the next couple of weeks. But over a 54 game season, as we've said, the best team comes to the top. What is it about this team that has made it the best team?
The consistency, just the consistency to work and stick to the same game plan. That's not an easy thing to do when you got a changing lineup, a tough schedule. I mean, there's teams. I mean, the league was pretty even till the end, as you can see. It was the last day. I heard last year it ended pretty early, which is crazy. But to be that consistent for 8 months in anything is hard to do, and to have a whole team do that is very impressive. And that goes from the top down, from everyone just being on the same page and wanting to work towards the same goal.
Bobo, what I'll say about the playoffs here compared to the league, I know you've said already, the 54 games, the playoffs is only 2 weekends. You get, just like the Kelly Cup, the playoff championships here, you get to leave your name on it when you win it. The players get their name inscribed on it. It's the hardest thing to do is to win that last trophy. We've won it 3 times in our history now, but in terms of a Grand Slam, going and winning the Cup, going and winning the league, and then to go and do a Grand Slam would be something really special. And like, you guys have an opportunity to really write your name in the Giants' history. So good luck, mate. Go get it.
Absolutely. I'm really looking forward to it.
Bobo, listen, congratulations, league champion, cup champion. One more to go. Let's go chase it, as Davey said. Best of luck. Thanks for joining us, mate.
Absolutely. Thank you.
this is still running there. It's a big. I've just left that sort of running. I'm just really enjoying it. Big thanks to Bobo Carpenter for joining us. Also, Mark Cooper. I said big thanks to. By the way, Davey, I know you got a T-shirt handed to you that was to be passed on to me that says.
You obviously didn't turn up. Hang on, I'll get it for you.
Okay, you get it for us. The other one that I've heard that I say a lot.
Not often I would have a wee beer.
Cheers,
but I've kept one especially for this moment.
Cheers.
Champions.
I had a little glass of champagne that was that was in, so I enjoyed that, and I'm enjoy. So when you win,
I'll have one when we win the Grand Slam.
Fair play. But yeah, it turns out that that's brilliant. Who gave you that? That made me laugh.
I don't know whoever gave me an own up.
so turn your phone 90 degrees. The other one apparently I say is big thanks to. So big thanks.
That on the back.
Big thanks to Bobo Carpenter and to Mark Cooper for joining us. Right, boys, let's move on. We got another guest waiting in the wings. Delighted to invite him back. We spoke about him last week. It was announced last week that he is to, at the end of the season, step down in his role as the CEO of the Odyssey Trust and become the chair of the Belfast Giants. We've won another championship. We've won another championship under stewardship. We're delighted to welcome back to A View from the Bridge, Robert Fitzpatrick. How are you doing, mate?
Evening, boys. How are you all?
Doing really, really well, mate. So, what do you think? What was your how were you doing on Sunday night when it was a 3-3?
We were laughing at one of the pacemaker things on the watches. I had it on, and at one stage it had a low of 52, and the high had gone out to 161.
Mate, I was there with you. My Garmin buzzed at me to say, basically, "Are you okay?" I was like, "No, who's okay?" But it was one of those nights, and I said I was on something earlier on. I said it doesn't matter how you get there as long as you get there.
Completely. Look, you've a habit of saying to me, "It's what we do." You've summed it up perfectly. It's what we do. I sort of have been reflecting on quite a number of years of doing the job. And I remember sitting at a View from the Bridge live podcast one day when I told people to wind their necks in.
Nobody remembers that, mate. Nobody remembers that.
But no, I mean, it's what we do. I mean, we've set the bar high. We have high expectations. We're a no excuse organization. The simple pride that I take from turning what was then a music arena into a place where hockey can be enjoyed, a place where hockey has grown, a place where the city of Belfast is proud now to call us champions again. Does what it says in the tin, boys. And I'm immensely proud of everybody. I'm immensely proud of the effort that everybody makes. And at the start of every season, we put the record on again and we go again. And if we're lucky enough to win the Grand Slam again this year, and if we're lucky enough to celebrate a Grand Slam, we'll do that. And then we've got the hospice in June, and then we've got Adam Keefe's testimonial, and then we've got the CHL draw, and then we've got the start of the tournament again. And the merry-go-round just starts again, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Robert, you get to at the start of every season. Obviously, we have our targets on the ice, which are going to be, to win everything. It's got to be, as you say, it's not even trying to win the Grand Slam. We try to win every single game we ever play. That's got to be your target as a sportsman. And whenever you first came in, get involved with the Giants, I know the Giants will have been. They've been in your head and stuff, but now you forget your positions within the Odyssey Trust, within coming on board the Giants. Like, first and foremost, I like to think you are just a Belfast Giants fan, like the rest of us.
You summed it up beautifully last week, Davey. We're all fans,
yeah.
and it's the thing that makes you proud, the things that makes you well up from time to time. This great club just gets under your skin. And, when you see the efforts when I see the efforts that people put in, when I see the efforts that Big says works, what he does, the hours he puts in, Laura, Glover, Mega Bar, Karen, when I see the efforts that they put in, And then you look at McIver and you look at Neil and you look at Dave up doing the TV, and then you look at you look at that whole ram of volunteers that sell 50/50s and sell shirts at the back. You know, you're only one small piece of that. But the one thing everybody has in common, and you said it last week, David, we're all now fans, and you know, a fan-led organization, I'll take that any day of the week.
But whenever you set down, especially for this season, the 25 years, all the different ideas that you've came up with, the giant puck outside, your 25th anniversary dinner, the silver helmets, all the different things that have just worked. And, you know, the success on the ice just makes it just even better.
You're right. The big puck came out of the group. It was Claire and Laura, and we'd been looking around to do all sorts of different things. And the big puck, at one stage, we thought it was going to be a Guinness Book of World Records, because I understood that there was another one somewhere in Switzerland, and that we had to make it a couple of inches bigger to beat that. It then transformed that wasn't in fact the case. But the big puck, the 25, the Hall of Fame, I was particularly proud of, Davey, because we've now got a chance for the next 25 years to recognise every part of the Giants, not just my era, but every part of the Giants. We've got a chance to go back and pay homage to those men back in the early days that forged the way, that showed us all what it was to be a Giant. And you know, we've got a little group of people around us now. They're going to be sitting down 2 or 3 times a year to debate the wheres and wherefores of how that comes together. And I have to say to you, I'm really looking forward to that, because it is 25 years. I normally don't pull rank. I normally don't sort of give directions, but I'm not ashamed to say that one of the directions that I gave this year was, they said it wouldn't last, had to be used on the jerseys, in the locker room, on the back of the puck, because I think that's the greatest testament to the success of the Belfast Giants, is us taking the humour that we had at the time and reversing it in everybody else by saying, well, actually, guys, you were wrong, and it did last. And not only did it last, but it's become, if my information is correct, we're now the most successful team in the EIHL history. Yep. We're doing something right, boys.
Robert, you talk about the the group that obviously you mentioned myself and Laura and Michael Glover and what have you. And I'm very lucky, and I know Laura and Kelly are exactly the same. We're very lucky to have our boss, which is Steve, who, you know, he looks after us every single day and he drives us on. And you know what, I asked him to come on for tonight, and he said, we're still 4 games to go. I don't really want to come on until the end of the season. Fair enough. I know Steve likes to sit in the background, but how important is he to this organization?
You know, if Adam's the heartbeat, Steve's the pulse. As simple as that. Yeah. Thornton will put your head away at times. Like he really would put your head away. But for a man to devote the time, the commitment, the effort, and I suppose the love for what it is we do, we're very, very, very lucky to have him. And long may that continue. I mean, there isn't a decision that I would make in the last 15 years about hockey without first consulting Steve. So it gives you a sense of he's my Jiminy Cricket, he's my conscience, he's my go-to guy when I've had a mad idea, or I'm going to do this or going to do that. I mean, so for example, I'll give you the way
you've had a mad idea too, Robert, have you?
One or two. Well, I mean, you know, I was very disappointed with the ending on Sunday. And we took it home and we debated it and decided that until we get the playoffs done, we're not going to celebrate. So I would urge everybody to make sure that they get a ticket for the 21st, because that's going to be one hell of a party. The fan appreciation night is going to be one hell of a party, whether we win the playoffs or not, because there's a group of men that have slogged their guts out for 8 months, and they deserve to see the passion of the Belfast Giants celebrating another league win.
Obviously it's coming to the end of a long season. We've got one last home game, which no doubt is going to be another sellout at the SSE Arena. It's been, from a numbers point of view, it's been a hugely successful season. People, whether it's season ticket holders and numbers, we all know are broke records, and it's going to break a record again next year. But you're also looking at the people that maybe call themselves casual fans, and coming when they can afford it. We know it's a little bit, when you're bringing 3 or 4 people with you, it can get a bit costly. Absolutely understand that. But with the support that we've had over this year, and I was doing the commentating on Saturday night, and you're 6 feet away from me, and I was going to need a defib at one point. But especially when Bid Laker was trying to get that puck into the net with the empty net with about 8 seconds to go in the game, and I'm literally, I was near swallowing the bloody microphone to try and get it pushed into the net. But I see how passionate you are about the game and about what the whole thing's all about. But the noise in that arena on Saturday night was absolutely incredible.
Before I answer that, Robert, I did send you a message a few weeks ago saying that we now have a drinking game. Well, I have a drinking game in our house when I'm watching a Belfast Giants game. Is I take a drink every time I hear Robert Fitzpatrick in the background shouting about something through the microphone, and his head is just like the safe of open another can.
I think I should move seats. To come back to Simon's point. Look, ice hockey is not. Is a very expensive business. We're going to invest another just shy of £1 million in the summer, where we're replacing the screens, and we're going to put 4 new screens in. We're going to make sure that no longer do we not have the ability to have a full bowl for every game. And Simon has convinced me that it's time to probably start thinking about a digital remnant and stuff like that to elevate the experience to another level. We're back in the CHL. The eyes of Europe are going to be on us again. We sell out CHL games. There's franchises in Sweden and Switzerland and Germany don't get anywhere near what we can do with CHL. And all of this, guys, all of this work is vital for the job that I've now got to do, which is to get another rink built in the city. It can't be done when I'm the CEO. It can't. You don't have the time. There are 2 projects running. There are 2 projects running at the minute. Both of them have good, very positive strengths. Boston's involved in talking to us, and because of the relationship we've built up over there, we're getting a great reception for some of the ideas that we have. And until that job is done, our job's not done. I want to in the next 10 years see local talent trying out for the Belfast Giants. And the only way we're going to do that is if we can get more facilities built. It's the only way.
You said, if Adam Keefe is the heartbeat, Steve Thornton is the pulse, and that's a great line, and I totally agree with that. So let's talk about the former, as we've already covered the latter. The Belfast Giants, as an organisation, have won 8 league titles. Adam Keefe has been involved in one way or another as a player or a coach in 6 of those. That's 75% of the league titles that have come to our great club have involved him either on the ice or dictating what's going on. How important is he, or important has he been for our organisation?
When Adam was unsure the first year he did the player coach, he didn't know whether he had it or not. And I sat him down one day with Steve, and I talked about the boot room. and I talked about the idea that you couldn't achieve success in Belfast unless you were from Belfast. And at that moment, I think Adam realised, I'm from Belfast now. I'm born and bred in Belfast. And once he got the monkey off his back in the first year where he won the Challenge Cup, and Stephen or I never had any doubt, ever had any doubt, that the man was going to be a legend and a success, because you only have to spend 5 minutes in his company to see his passion, to see his thoroughness, to see his care, to see his single-mindedness, and that he goes to the well every single time we're playing. He also goes to the well every single time somebody asks him for help. He goes to the well for his family. He goes to the well for his coaching team. The man is someone who essentially breathes what it is we do. And really, you know, I can't pay Adam Keefe any bigger compliment than to say he's one of us.
I couldn't agree with that. Couldn't agree with that more. And then in the last week, we discovered that you step down as the CEO of the Odyssey Trust after 18 years in that position. In 18 years, that position, you'll become chair of the Belfast Giants. Difficult decision to make, Robert?
No, not at all. For the last 18 years, Simon will attest to this. There's been a saying that used to rock around the arena that I would finish up when Humpty was back together. When Humpty was back together, I would finish, because Humpty needed to be put back on the wall. With the success now of Odyssey Place, there's a new bar restaurant opening in the next 2 weeks. I understand Wagamama and Little Wing Pizza have also signed. That's going to give it about 90% occupancy. I've managed to get the Education Learning Centre opened in life. W5 has gone from strength to strength. And the arena last year was one of its best years ever. We've the CHL back in Belfast. So my skill set for putting all that together, you know, has been well explained over the years, Paddy. And really, at the end of the day, I started landing the plane last October, November time, because I knew this was going to come. The reason why I've taken the chair of the Giants is because the chair of the Giants still gives me the credibility to rock up into Europe and rock up into Boston with my hand out. It still gives me the opportunity to connect with all of the people that I've met. It still gives me the credibility to actually be part of what it is we all do. And it also, I suppose, from a personal point of view, it aligns 18 years of blood and sweat. There haven't been that many tears, because we've been pretty good at what we've done. And long may that continue. The success on the ice breeds success off the ice. But you can only put 7,500 people in the building. That's 7,500 experiences. You maybe sell another 1,500 or 2,000, Simon Kitchen webcams, call it what you like. But the fact of the matter is that if we're doing that, we're putting 250,000 people through the arena now every year to watch hockey. And I remember saying to you one time before that I always used to think it was like, 25% of the people are diehards and know what's going on. There's another 25% of an idea, but they're not that sure. That has changed. That has changed dramatically. We're now up at 45% of people that will come to games and be able to read the game and expect a win or be disappointed with a loss. And the people that are flowing into them. A quick story. I was taking my grandson to football practice last Tuesday night. And I was walking into the facility and a lady stopped me and said, "Are you Robert Fitzpatrick?" I said, "I am." She said, "I'm a Giants fan and we're buying season tickets next year. Thank you for everything you've done." That was Mara Felt. Go figure. So we have made the impact that I always hoped we would make. I have tried my best to invest in this collective boot room philosophy where we all feel a part of it. And see, none of us, Paddy, are as strong as all of us. And when we're all strong together, we win Grand Slams, we get international recognition. I've told you before about the Friendship Four. We're now out to 2032 with teams. We're about to go back to back with men and women. And Steve and I are heading out to Naples in 3 weeks' time to the coaches' combine to get more contracts signed with bigger teams. This year, the city of Belfast had 1,000 bed nights for the Friendship Four. Now, okay, it was Boston University and Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
I can sort of, they've already signed up again. They've already signed up again. So all of these pieces of the jigsaw allows me to go to the City Fathers or to go to the Belfast Harbour and say, all right, guys, come on, it's time. When it was time in 2014 to take the Giants over and to recognise the great work of the architect, Jim Gillespie, it was time. It's now time to take the success. There is no other test we have to pass to prove that ice hockey in Belfast and in Northern Ireland is now mainstream. There are no more tests. I have a thing I started doing quietly, Paddy, about 1.5 years ago, where I started collecting Irish muses. Right? I remember talking to Donny Fitzpatrick and asking him what we had to do to get into the Irish News, and he said, "Well, look, Robert," he says, "it's GAA soccer, and after that it's rugby, and you might get a bit after basketball." Okay, I might have now 600 copies of the Irish News, front and back page Giants. It's all done. It's all done.
Good job.
So we've all the tests that have been set, we've passed. And now is the final piece of the jigsaw is to make Belfast a true hockey town by getting a rink built.
You know what, Robert? It's interesting to say, but you're a pro club in Mackerfell, and I've said this for a while now. A few people have asked me, with regards to the Belfast Giants, we'll always be known as Belfast Giants, but we're now the Northern Ireland, and even bigger than what we actually we're an absolute beast right now. You look at the season ticket where the people are from. We've got people from Lisnaskea, Enniskillen, Dungannon, Ballygolly, right the way up the Strabane, Londonderry, whatever you want to call it. You don't like to leave people out these days. You've got the likes of Portstewart, Portrush, Ballymena, right the whole way down to Kildare. You've got Neil and Emer to come up every single week from Kildare. We are an absolute beast right now. And long may it continue, because it's very important that we want to keep on building. Steve, I've already mentioned Steve already, and Adam are very similar in their way of thinking. It's those little 1% that we get better every single year. That even whether it be the fan participation of fan engagement, whether it be new sponsors coming on board, new partners, whether it be the likes of the Friendship Four getting bigger, obviously the charities that we do, that Laura does all her hard work for as well. But all that coming together is absolutely vital that we continue to build on it. And next, as you say, you've already said it on a few occasions this evening and before, the development is the next important step.
Well, look, I think there's a certain vernacular that exists at the minute where I very rarely hear in the company I keep, really, I very rarely hear people referring to the Giants as Belfast Giants. They're the Giants. It's the Giants. And the Giants for me is sort of a brand where we can take it wherever we like, Simon. The city itself has got its own peculiarities around how we welcome people, how we embrace opportunity. But, if there ever was anybody wanted to measure how a city has developed, you only have to follow the path of the Belfast Giants to see how the city has, in its sense, developed, how we've managed to maintain our neutrality, how we've managed to maintain our diversity. I mean, what other club in the league has a female mascot? You know, what other club in the league embraces?
Don't know what Clangus is.
The CSR. Well, there you go. What other club in the league embraces CSR the way we embrace it? And that's because that's who we are. There's a girl here who wants to show you something.
Go on. That's it. That's it. Thanks for that one.
What's that mean? What's that mean?
What does it mean?
Understand?
I think that secures her baseball cap for next year from Jeff Paul. Close the door, Alan. That secures the baseball cap next year from Jeff Paul. But no, listen, you're right, Simon. You know, we are what we have to become. We have to think like giants. We have to have giant thinking. And if we're able to, in many ways, embrace that, and one of the reasons why this chairmanship is going to be so important, Paddy, is because, yes, we're going to set up a Friends of Belfast Giant group. We're going to have a philanthropic committee in Boston. We're going to talk to, Steve has already said that we've secured the European Hockey Club Alliance meeting in October. That's 102 hockey clubs are coming to Belfast to see the Giants. The likelihood is there'll be a CHL game on when they're here. You know, we have an outstanding opportunity to put our brand into places that would normally sort of look down their nose at us and say, well, it's hockey and there's only one rink and there's only one team. I'd like to see any of the other teams in the European Hockey Alliance put the trophies that we've won on the table from their own domestic leagues and talk about, you know, who says what about who. We are who we are because of all of us. And so long as that continues, and so long as we never lose sight of the fact that every single one of us plays our part in making Giants great, the Giants will continue to be great.
A fabulous point, the fact that with regards to where we punch, how far we punch above our weight, considering the resources that we have on the island and the fact that we are the most successful club in the Elite League here. Robert, listen, we're gonna let you go, but not before a note of thanks. You know, since you took what Jim Gillespie had said and what Jim Gillespie had triumphed, and with the Odyssey Trust, you pushed it on to new further heights. It's no coincidence that we've had the most successful period in the history of the Belfast Giants under the stewardship of the Odyssey Trust, with you at that helm. It's no surprise that we've won a Grand Slam for the first time in our history. We have the opportunity to win a second Grand Slam, which is phenomenal. It's no surprise that we've been able to lift the amount of trophies that we've had in the last 10 years or more, and that's no small part of the fact that the stewardship has been good from the top down. We'd like to thank you as well from a personal point of view on a view from the bridge, because you know I know there wasn't much discussion about us becoming the official podcast, but it drove us to new and further heights, and it's been, and you know, and some of the things that I know myself, Davey, says, Marty, Joel, all the things that we've been able to experience as part of this podcast, not just as part of the organization, has been nothing short of just humbling. And so it's a personal note of thanks to you. We've got one more trophy to go after, and let's hope we just seal the deal there.
Don't, Paddy, just before I go, just don't forget about the Tom Simpsons and the wee Blakes and the Ethans and the Daffys of this world, who have put their health in our hands at times, and we've responded in a way that has made a difference. The Giants, yes, we are measured by the success on the ice, but our heart is much bigger off the ice, and for as long as that continues, the Giants on the ice will always have the support of the people of Ireland, for that matter.
Fantastic. Listen, we are going to come back after this break with an interview with Mark Brooks, the commercial manager of the Elite League. But for now, Robert Fitzpatrick, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, boys. Here we go. Let's see if we can get the next 4 games.
save the date.
Mark, how are you doing, mate? You okay?
Hey, Paddy. Yeah, doing well, thanks. Recovering from the weekend, but yeah, doing well.
Listen, in a minute, I want to get a bit of an insight into the trophy and what your Sunday night entailed. But let's start off by talk about like not just Sunday, but the league season as a whole, because it's been a great season overall. But from a league perspective, to have the season go as it did and the blockbuster finish that went all the way to like 4 minutes before the end, all the way to the 60 minutes of what took place. It must be great from a league perspective to have it go that way.
Yeah, isn't it? Like, what are the odds over a 54-game season that would come down to the final minutes of a final period of the final game? So credit to the teams involved. But overall, the season's been fantastic from start to finish. Obviously, a lot of ups and downs as always with the teams. But from a league perspective, crowds are up around the whole league. We hit 1 million fans for our third consecutive season, the earliest we've ever hit it. We will naturally then in a few weeks be announcing it's our highest ever attended Elite League season. So kudos to all the teams, all the fan bases around the league, because that's a real positive news story and shows that there's growth everywhere. So yeah, really competitive season. And I don't even think that concerns the title race only. I think if you look from 1 to 9th, certainly, and how close those spots were, and even if you look at maybe the teams placed 5th to 9th and how they ended up affecting the dramatic title race in the end, you realize how competitive things are. And I think that's only positive moving forward.
Obviously, that sort of thing is out of your control with regards to the league perspective, but the teams put them into the competition. That's what's obviously driving the crowds. And you said yourself, you look at Belfast pulling in 7,000, Sheffield pulling in 9, Nottingham having a full house for a game that maybe not when they were selling it, but it was sold out like 10 days before the game against the Belfast Giants to have. And then the game in Coventry as well on Sunday, a massive crowd there. To have those crowds coming in and having that competition just shows how strong the product is at this moment in time.
Yeah, definitely. And it's been so entertaining. Like, I think some of the performances on the ice, like I think if you look some of the clips over the weekend, like obviously from your point of view, like Jackson's save on Saturday night and how much better the on-ice product, if you like to put it that way, is now for sure. Dundee sold out on Sunday too. Like that home game against 5 Foot Building was going nuts. Obviously, that got them into the playoffs to play you guys this weekend. So yeah, it's fantastic to see. And I was speaking to the Champions League guys last week because obviously you probably saw we made that announcement ahead of the title race, kind of deciding at the weekend, and we had said that like how positive that is that all 3 contending teams at that point were averaging over 6,000 fans per game in our league season. So they were pretty happy with whatever team was going to be in the Champions League next season, because that's a real important marker, because our league really shines across Europe when it comes to not just our representative in the Champions League, but I always feel like we put our best foot forward in the Champions League when it comes to showing off how competitive our league is, but how great the things are off the ice with our league too.
It is great, and great that the Belfast Giants will be returning to take part in the Champions Hockey League. I think the draw will be May time normally, isn't it? You would probably know better than I, but
yeah, May 21st in Stockholm is the date for Giants fans to circle in the diary. So that's when the draw is made, and then we'll see where you guys are going to end up around Europe and what the draw is going to be, because I think the league phase really helps teams from our league, and I think it really makes an interesting proposition. And you guys finished a point outside. I think finished 17th, a point behind the round of 16 a couple of years ago. So I'd say there's a point to prove to try and get into the round of 16 next season. But yeah, let's see how the draw goes first.
Yeah, I think the Swiss model that was been brought in, not just because obviously we've seen it for a few seasons in the Champions Hockey League, but in football they obviously did it this year with regards to, and it's worked out pretty well. It shows that not just gives opportunities to teams that, and let's be fair, we're probably down the pecking order when it comes to the European hockey and the strength of European hockey, but it gives teams like ourselves that opportunity to go deep into the or more deeper into the competition, as the Sheffield Steelers showed this season.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's where there's a real nice balance now with the league, because that's obviously again, like speaking with those guys last week too, like if you look at it, I think 2 years ago, you'll know better than me on this, but Belfast beat Salzburg and Pardubice from Czech, who they went on to play in the Spengler Cup last year. Sheffield this season obviously beat Skellefteå, who were the runners-up from the previous season, and beat Zurich, who obviously won it this year too. So yeah, the strength of our league is certainly improving. And yeah, I think if you can think back to whatever years ago Paddy the Giants first played in it, the thought of like being talked about as a contender to be in that last round of 16 is shows how far we've come on.
Let's bring it back domestically. Let's bring it back to Sunday night, Mark. 3-3 in both games with a little under 5 minutes, 4 minutes to go, as me and the boys have talked about earlier in the show. But I put what I considered to be a joke on Twitter, saying that big shout to Mark Brooks, who's probably sitting in services near Leicester with the trophy, looking which way to go. Turns out I wasn't that far from the truth. Give us an insight to your Sunday night, Mark.
Yeah, let's probably take it back to Saturday night too, because you guys had a chance to win it on Saturday. Maybe chance is the wrong term, but obviously it was dependent on results elsewhere. But yeah, with the games, it's like we're kind of finishing at a slightly different time, despite starting at the same time. So with a few minutes to go in your game at home against Nottingham on Saturday night, when the result was done, a late Cardiff goal in regulation would have won the title for the Giants on Saturday night. So we had then, everything was kind of in place and prepped and ready to go on Saturday night, just in case there was a late goal. Didn't come to pass in the end, and we moved on to Sunday. But probably to take it back even more so, like this has been something we're kind of really proud how prepped both ourselves as a league were, but also working with the 3 contending teams or venues this weekend. So with Belfast potentially for Saturday, Coventry and Nottingham for Sunday, where we'd spoken with the teams last Monday in terms of potential scenarios, eventualities, and we'd made it clear that should it go to the final game on Sunday and should it be really tight, there was a chance that with the trophy being halfway, we'd probably take about 35, 40 minutes to kind of get to the venue after the game. So just making sure for logistics that things would be ready by the time we got there, but also maybe keeping fans and making people aware of that. Did we actually think it would be that close on Sunday? Probably not, but my goodness, what a finish. So our agreement internally between myself and Liam Sewell, our head of hockey ops, who I was working on this with over the weekend, was that whoever was in the stand, leading the standings on Saturday night going into Sunday, is where we'd go with the trophy, albeit initially, and then we'd kind of make the decisions from there at the end of the second period. So sure enough, whenever it was, I think, you correct me if I'm wrong in this because Sunday's a blur for me, but I think Belfast scored just before the end of the second to bring it back to 3-2. Possibly, or was it 3-1 at the end of the second?
3-1 at the end of the second, I think.
Yeah, 3-1 at the end of the second on. I think it was. Let's say it was 3-1 at the end of the second on Sunday.
Mine's a blur from Sunday, mate.
Yeah, and Nottingham were having a game. They were playing really, really well. Mm-hmm. At that point, it didn't feel right that we could stay in Nottingham at that point because an hour and 10 away from Coventry. So we kind of went back to plan B, which is to go to halfway point on the motorway, follow the games from there, and then see where we go. So yeah, it was too tight. We didn't go to Coventry, as some of the rumours may or may not have been spoken about. I saw a few comments from your coach, Mr. Keefe, which I'll pick up on another time with him, or I have picked up with him. But yeah, no, we kind of gone halfway. And then obviously we were watching both games, and we had people watching the games for us just in case there's an issue with signal or whatever. And yeah, we're sitting at halfway and found out that Coventry had gotten their goal and the game was coming to a close. So that was the point we kind of got hustled back to the Motorpoint Arena. And obviously maybe about 15, 20 minutes after all the kind of post-game had been wrapped up. But as we'd said to the teams last Monday, whichever one of you ends up winning this trophy, probably aren't going to care about the time, the extra 20 minutes. You're just going to care about getting your hands on the trophy. So, and I think just to kind of tie it all back in, I think from a league perspective, I think it's really important we have that professionalism that we award the trophy there. And then it's really important hockey tradition. And there's been years where that hasn't been done. And we really felt that this was a good opportunity to do that on Sunday with the two venues being side by side. And I think you saw that, like the emotion from the trophy lift, the players getting the trophy and posing with it in the team photographs. It's really important for them to do that. And I think it's great exposure for us as a league. I think it's great for the team that wins it. But to have 3 teams going into the final weekend, 2 teams going into the last day, and still 2 teams with 4 minutes to go on Sunday is credit to both those teams. And I mean, had both of those games gone to overtime, it would have been ridiculous. But yeah, kudos to the Giants for getting over the line.
And that's it. Like, obviously, had it been, you could have all sorts of scenarios. Had it been in Belfast and in Coventry, then you've got a bit more of a difficult scenario that I'm sure you'd have to have gamed out. But the fact that the Coventry and Nottingham, as you say, an hour and 10 minutes from each other, that you were able to sort of have that sort of thing out. And it was a credit to the guys at the NIC and the Nottingham Panthers and the organisations, the way they handled it. And I unfortunately wasn't able to make the trip. I spent watching with my children, but the Panthers TV kept all the stuff coming, so we were able to see all that going through, all the celebrations on the ice, and see you guys turning up and getting the medals out of the plastic bags onto the table, getting everything set up, and it was fantastic to be able to have that. And very entertaining, because we've grown up and having things like Helicopter Sunday in Scottish football and that sort of a laugh. But I was hoping that maybe you'd have a helicopter come in and land in Bolero Square, and then you and Liam get out of the helicopter and all covered through. But maybe next year.
Yeah, it was fun. And absolutely kudos to the Motorpoint, like the Panthers and Motorpoint Arena. I'm really fortunate I get to work with the guys. They may not say the same thing because I'm bugging them a lot at the minute ahead of finals weekend, which we host, but the staff there are fantastic. Like, they had the car park spots ready for us. They had the service yard kind of roped off for us and ready to go, which was fantastic. Also, kudos to Belfast for having prepped everything on Saturday night, and then Coventry Blaze, who were not involved in the title race at all, but really had got everything set up and ready, and kind of worked really well with us all week in terms of potentially getting ready for a Steelers celebration on Sunday night too. So and yeah, Nottingham definitely, because I can't imagine it's fun watching another team to win a championship on their ice, but the respect they gave was really classy. As you say, from the backstage staff to Ken, the MC, the host of the game, and all the staff there, like, really did a good job of it, and that's really pleasing for us. It's good for the league, and like I would say, like, none of us are competitors off the ice, so it's really important that we kind of put the best perception forward of our league, and I thought Sunday night did just that.
A fantastic end to the regular season, mate. So then we move on, and we have obviously the quarterfinals of the postseason and the playoffs this weekend. We'll speak about this in the show, but there's no gimmies on that. That'll be very entertaining. And then we go to the finals weekend, as we spoke about before. So the Blue Ribbon event, the big blockbuster event for the Elite League. How are preparations going for that as we get closer to that moment?
Yeah, they're going really well. I mean, I can promise you, we're going to present the trophy on Sunday night. The moment the game finishes, if that allays any fears for Mr. Keefe or anybody else moving forward. But yeah, things are going really well. It is, in my opinion, the best weekend of sport in Europe. I don't know anything else like it. I'm obviously biased, but having been involved with it on the team side of it and the organizational side of it, I think 10 sets of fans coming together to watch our Final Four is really unique. It is the one where, yeah, the best weekend is when you go there and your team wins it. The next best weekend, they say, is when your team doesn't make it and you just have a great weekend regardless. So we'll be sold out again for our second consecutive year on weekend passes, which is really pleasing. And it's growing year on year. For broadcast purposes, we're going to be back on Elite League TV for all 4 games, actually. So people both across UK and Ireland and outside of that can watch on Elite League TV and pay pay-per-view to watch that. The final itself will be broadcast on Premier Sports as well. So we're really excited that we're going to be back on TV for the final. We obviously have been on Premier for a number of years for certain of our big events. And from my point of view, the exposure and the coverage that we get from TV alone is really important for us with prospective partners and just for helping us grow the game. Premier Sports are a great partner of ours to do that, likes of Aaron Murphy and all the guys behind the scenes are doing a really good job of their channel itself. And I think it's a great platform for us to present to our fans, but also I think it's a great platform for us to tap into as well. And great to get that over the line because they got a busy weekend with, there's a lot of games like my former employers, Ulster, are down playing Leinster in Dublin next Saturday too. So yeah, there's a lot going on for them, but yeah, really pleased that we've got a bit of a mix and match across broadcasting next weekend.
What are your targets with regards to the playoffs? Obviously, the playoffs is the playoffs, and as a fan, as myself going for 25 years, the weekend always just seems to be the weekend. So you have 4 great games, well, three great games and a third, fourth place game that is entertaining in its own right. But when it comes to like from a league perspective, is it just to get through it without any hitches, or do you look to grow it? Do you look to change it? Do you look to try to find new ways to push it forward?
Yeah, all of that. I mean, definitely getting through it without hitches is ideal, but we want to grow it. Like I want it to, like I do genuinely. I'm not just saying that. I think it's the best sporting weekend in Europe, and I think that it's something that we want to grow. And I mean, we felt it was really important to keep the ticketing prices the same this year. So when I say grow it, it isn't always down to revenue. It can be down to the experience of it. So we have got a few things on the go this year. It'll be different to what people will notice before in the venue in terms of how we do our match night experience. The Panthers themselves have a really great match night experience, so we're tapping into some of their some of what they do that makes their, I think their game night's fantastic. So we're going to be tapping into that because we're kind of on their home patch. So it'd be foolish of us not to kind of use that we've seen over the last couple of years whenever I've been visiting there. Away from that too, like Salt Box, which is the venue right next to the arena. So the arena own that venue, which a lot of people don't realize. So again, we've been given a lot of access to that. So the Friday night we're hosting our official playoff party. I always feel that we do so much work bringing everybody from all the teams, fans to the city of Nottingham, and we kind of lose people on a Friday night. We never plan anything, so which is great. People have got their own plans. There's no issue with that, but we really felt like we wanted to give something on the Friday night. So we're going to have special guests from each of the four finalists. When we understand those this Sunday night, we'll have those on stage in Saltbox, and next Friday night we'll have the trophy there for people to get their photos taken. That's not something we've ever really made available before. And yeah, just trying to do different things and seeing how we can just enhance the experience over the overall weekend. The arena itself is fantastic. I love working with all the staff there. It's such a great atmosphere, such a great venue. I think the way how steep the seats are, I think it just lends itself to a great atmosphere. And but yeah, and we're always open for ideas, like other things that people think can work or increase the fan experience or make it a better weekend. We're all ears. So we've made a few changes this year. So let's see how it goes. Fantastic, mate. Well, no doubt it'll be once again a superb weekend. I'll say fantastic too many times. A superb weekend for all fans. It's always been one that's really, really enjoyable from a fan's perspective. And then we'll see. Well, I'm hoping the Giants will be there, but we'll see how we get on when it comes to the games on the ice. Mate, good to see you. Well done on Sunday night, and no doubt I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Brilliant. Yeah, I'll see you in Nottingham. Cheers, Paddy. Big thanks to Mark Brooks for his time and the chat there. Obviously, a couple of little exclusives there, not least the playoff party that will be in Saltbox. They'll have the trophy, the representatives of all the teams, but also that the game on Sunday, that the final will be live on Premier Sports TV. Also, a bit of an insight as to where the trophy, the bit of the trip that the trophy went on, Davey. I know there's a bit of superstition going on, and it seems that when the trophy left the NIC, things got a bit better for the Belfast Giants.
It was a funny one because obviously chatting with Half more than anything, he was a very superstitious guy. You know, that the trophy being there on Saturday, the trophy maybe being there the week before, you know, the trophy being in Nottingham, whilst not inside the arena, in the car park, ready to present, you know, and while it was following us around, results just weren't really going our way. And once it drove away from the NIC and started heading towards a different direction, things started to turn in the opposite direction. Hockey's a funny game of superstition, and you know, a lot of superstitious people around the sport. I'm sure Sis had big superstitions himself when he played the game. I know even just through football, I did the same things week on week. You know, I had little superstitions, and while that trophy was following us about, wasn't going our way. But once it headed off down the M42 or whatever direction that took the Coventry, things just started turning around again, and it just eventually tipped over the edge. And I know Robert said about I get emotional sometimes. Like says, "See, I was guarding my lumps out like while it was all happening." And like, can't remember whether it was good or so. Why you crying? I'm just happy. You know, that was amazing. It was really give us an insight to what it was like on the bench, mate. Because obviously, when the celebrations come through or the news comes through from Coventry, where did that news come from? Who communicated that? Adam had asked to be kept up to date kind of with the scores, and we didn't want to really do that too much because they've enough to concentrate. But it came through on flash scores, 4-3 with a couple of seconds or with a couple of minutes to go. It was like, well, it actually came up in flash scores, big chance, and that's
big chance. I think everybody saw that big chance.
And
I
it went to 4-3, so I'd sort of said that the Stew, I think it was, like it's 4-3, and then Chinese whispers happens, and then you've got people talking, what's the score? And I tapped half, and I went, I'm not going to Adam. You could tell Adam there's the score is 4-3, and so he ran down and told Adam it's 4-3 and stuff, and then it was Dave Laurie actually sent through a message on WhatsApp just saying 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Belfast Giants are the champions, something like that. And I then turned around and said, it's over. And I just broke. But and then as you seen, the celebrations were just insane. It was just it's quite surreal because it was like I hadn't realized the clock had run down to 0 and our game was going to overtime. That's just, I thought it just like just in the middle of the game here, there's 5 seconds or something to go, but obviously, and then you had a long break and nobody really knew what happened because we didn't know, despite Brooksy saying, I had texted you, I hadn't read it to say the trophy's half an hour away, so everybody's like, what happened here?
Brooksy put on for time. Yeah, Brooksy put on the WhatsApp basically saying, I think he was trying to communicate with you to say I'm 30 minutes away. I thought he was just basically having a bit of crack and just said, I'm 30 minutes away. But it turns out he was trying to tell you that he were 30 minutes away because him and Liam were on their way.
So nobody really knew what was going on, but like it was fun. And then the guys it says it talked about standing watching the game. Joey Cassetti, who else? Bo Hansen says Tom McCollum, somebody else there as well with you. I'm trying to think.
Bast,
just Basti out injured. Laura, yourself, and everybody was able to come around and we were all together, and it was just lovely. And all the fans. It reminds me like the time we won it in Nottingham in the year Ed Courtney was coach. Theo was there. I was on the other side of the glass experiencing that, and the experience from the other side. And it was really good. There was a good number of Giants fans there. Maybe 100 says?
I'd say about 100.
About 100. And then I know that I've got a lot of angst in my trauma dump here from the 26th of October 2002 and all, and my hate for the Nottingham Panthers. But like Simon had said as well,
yourself, mate. You never let that out.
I try to keep it on the down low. The amount of fans that stayed, not just for the trophy presentation, but then waited until the Giants had done all their celebrating with their fans and waited around the Giants bench, and then Mark Cooper and Goody and stuff took the trophy over to them. Credit to them. Credit to Danny Stewart for the magnanimous way he was all weekend, because I'm sure he pulled the goalie on Saturday night. He knew he needed a regulation win, and that wasn't to try and help the Sheffield Steelers. That was to try and get the win for the Nottingham Panthers to take it into Sunday. The integrity of their players to play hard on Sunday. I know, yes, they played their backup goalie fair enough. He had a great game. But they had a fan appreciation night and they had a full house and they wanted to win for their fans, but wasn't to be for them. But very magnanimous in defeat. John O'Bullard, etc. All those boys and their fans and little kids staying right to the very, very bitter end to get the little touch of the trophy, which, they may as well be Giants fans, so don't want to touch it. So credit to them, but yeah, it was a surreal experience. It was a great day from start to finish. It was a long weekend, but when rewards come, you don't remember how long it is. I think I got back in the house 3:20. I had to stop at a couple of services for like power naps because I was wrecked. It says I'm sure it was late enough for you getting back to Leicester or wherever it was you were staying, but by hook or by crook, you had to be there. And there was some lucky Giants fans there. I'm sure there was a big webcast, and I seen parties going on Twitter, people getting together and watching it in houses as groups of people. It's just, we're very, very fortunate to have a leadership group in our club, and Robert rhymed off the off ice guys, Simon's team, Steve Thornton's team, Laura, Simon, all the guys that work in the office there, but Adam, Stewie, Mace, George, Parrot, Taff, all those boys that make it happen on a game night, young Jude, all those people that you don't see, Austin, Robbie, all the people, all those ones behind the scenes that make the players just have to go out and be players, just concentrate on their hockey. So like a massive, sorry, that hit you off the screen. Massive,
Hitchy's been sending me messages all through this show, and a lot of them can't be shared on this.
He's been sending me messages as well. He's such a dick.
So yes, massive kudos to everyone. Obviously, the players first and foremost, because they go out and they put the biscuit in the basket. But the boys the boys and girls behind the scenes that make it that no excuse organization that Robert talks about, from the coaching staff right down to the 50-50 sellers, the ones that
volunteers are
pick the rubbish up off the floor when the players have all left. So
Simon, give us. So you were there that night as well. You were there on Sunday night. Give us your, after the buzzer went, after the Belfast Giants had lifted that 8th league title. What was your highlight?
Just sort of, I sort of sit back and I was, when the boys were celebrating, and there was obviously that little bit of a lull in between the waiting for the trophy to arrive, and all the boys wanted was a beer, so we were trying to organize to get them beers, and thankfully the Anna from the arena and Pash basically organized to get a few beers down. Once they got the beers, they were fine.
Where's our beers?
Really?
Literally, that's what it was like, And we were just trying to, literally just trying to make time up. And then I said to Coops, go over and see your fans. Even before we got the trophy, just go over and skate over to your fans. And I think they appreciated that. And as Davey said, there was a few Nottingham Panthers fans that stood around and waited for the trophy to come back. And let's be honest, I mean, it's been a long time since they've seen a league trophy. So, they'll probably want to have a look at it, the champions, and see what it's like. But, for our fans to stay, because again, I mean, we must have stood on the ice. It must have been an hour from when the game was over to actually getting back to the locker room. And then, the boys wanted to get ready, and then we all went back to Salt Box and thanks to National Merchandise who looked after the boys for a few free drinks, and then Adam got him up on stage and recognized the fans that were still there as well. So I just thought, the whole, with having the opportunities over the last 2-3 weeks to try and get everything done and not coming up with that, and then there's certainly, you'd be lying if you said there's no doubts that get into your head. Oh God, maybe we've let this run away, and I think, I said last week there was no way Cardiff or Coventry were going to beat the Sheffield Steelers this weekend. Always love to be proved wrong, and thankfully we managed to come up with a win and win the league by 3 points. So it didn't actually need the Coventry players, although it was all good and well that they stepped up and did what they needed to do. Because Davey said earlier, that it's a nothing game for them. They wanted to basically turn up and play for their fans, and fair play to them. It's not the first time they've maybe assisted at us in winning the championship. So fair play to them. But I just thought the boys, with the season that we've had and a lot of injuries way back at the start, and there was a lot of negativity back then. I think we were sitting in 8th and 9th place after 3 and 4 games, and there's a lot of fans thinking, oh, here, this is brutal. And then when you sort of, I was sending you messages Sunday night, Paddy, there was a lot of Steelers posts that sort of started creeping its way onto my algorithm of, bringing back Conway and Pickenich, and it's his desperation. There's no way they're going to win this. Orange are going to win again, blah, blah, blah. Bit of bad luck they're having, big lad. Champions for a reason. The cream rises to the top. It took us right to the very end this time. But, Belfast Giants are Elite League champions once again. And it's been a tough season for everybody involved in the club. Fans, players, coaches, the off-ice staff have felt it as well at times. It's just because of the demands that are put on you, especially Adam and the players. Adam puts a lot of pressure on the players, but that's because it is passion that he wants to win, and you see Mason, George, and Stewie. Everything's always mentioned Adam, and we all know we all love Adam. But Mace, George, and Stewie are vitally important to what he does. Taff, obviously, we know he's the best in the business of doing what he does, and the effort that's put into the whole thing just makes it all worthwhile. And you sort of just want to sit back and go, "That's another one done." It's now Tuesday. Yes, we're looking forward to this weekend and next weekend. But being honest, my focus is already on next season with regards to what we say off-ice teams do, because we're already speaking to new sponsors. We're already renewing contracts from this season on the next year. And, we're already thinking about the CHL. Steve and I were talking about our pre-season opponents for the weekends in August and then getting ready to play CHL. And then Steve Thornton brings up it's only 18 weeks away. This season's not even over yet. It's only 18 weeks away to the start of the new season. So, yes.
Really?
Yeah. Well,
but CHL probably comes in before that as well.
Till we get the boys in, it's 18 weeks. So, it's not a lot of time that you've got to yourselves. And But without having to go on and on and on, it's just great that we've managed to get it done. It's I just feel so good for Adam and the coaching staff, for the players, and for everybody involved in the club, and obviously the fans, because I've said it on numerous occasions on the podcast this year. Our fans have been absolutely brilliant, and they deserve this. All these, wannabe fans from Nottingham and Sheffield and Cardiff and Glasgow and all this.
Whatever.
Look, I know you all want to win, but you're just going to have to queue up, because we ain't going to be giving this up anytime soon.
Listen, I know you've asked me about Sunday there and Simon about Sunday and stuff, Paddy, and we'll get time later, I guess, in the off season or whatever, to go retrospective really and think about highlights from the season and all. But for yourself, like, you never get to really answer many questions. What do you think? The last weekend, and I'm going to throw a wee emotional one at you too. You couldn't be there in person on Sunday, and like, as a dad, you made the right decision. Like, to have that memory with Declan and Roisin will be very special as well, and they'll remember that. But tell me what your weekend was like.
That was exactly it, mate. I texted you guys after. So my wife was working on the Saturday, which meant that flying back I couldn't do, but that was fine. So I put the game on, and the kids were part of the game and on Saturday, and they were very entertained by their dad jumping up and down and screaming, and come on, especially when Mike Lee scored the overtime winner, and I'm running up and down the kitchen just basically going nuts. They were laughing, but they were part of it as well, and then it was then that I sent you guys a message basically saying that I wasn't going to travel on Sunday, because Rasheen was like, the game tomorrow, and I thought, you know what, because the game got moved to 5:30. Had the game been at 4 o'clock, I would have worked hard to try to get the kids there and do whatever I could to get the kids there. Because they moved to 5:30, and a lot of kids are off on half term. And this is very boring, I apologize. But a lot of kids are on half term, but my kids aren't there at school this week. So there was no way that I was going to go there, because ultimately they wouldn't have got home till after midnight, and then I had to try to get them to school. So that wasn't happening. I wanted to spend my time with them, and that's what I did. And I don't regret that. I saw, like, in the celebrations, and kudos to the guys from Panthers TV, and they kept everything running, and they kept all the streams running. They did that. Ken did that interview with Adam Keefe that we showed earlier on, and they did a great job in covering the trophy and and all that stuff going on. It made it great for us who weren't able to make it there, but knowing it was just down the road for me, and knowing you boys were there enjoying it, knowing that the crack there was going to be great, it did pang a bit. But then seeing my kids jumping up and down and cheering and singing Championes just made a different thing for me, completely different thing for me. And I really enjoyed it. There was there's so much really when you win a title that you get to do and you get to enjoy. Like, my long suffering wife got to see me jump up and down screaming, it's over, when I saw that the game in Coventry, like, literally jumping up. I said earlier on, I'm surprised that the neighbours didn't call the police. I'm pretty sure that some neighbours think that I was screaming at Joe that our marriage is over. The amount of times I shouted, it's over, it's over, it's over at her. Saying, it's over, it's over, it's over. But it was, and then the kids are jumping around. It was just, just the little bubble that we had. I made the obligatory call that I have done for many years when we win a title to Anthony Russell and the Stu Coles. I'd like to point out they started that. They started that when Coventry won the league. They called me and sang Championes, and I vowed to every time Belfast Giants do it, I call them back. And then you've got everything that comes after it. And what I mean is things that you really enjoy, not just from a Belfast Giants perspective, but from just like, I don't know if you guys know, but I like to troll a little bit. And things like this just make my heart jump for joy. Look at Marco Vallerand. Look at his face as he sits on the ice, realizing that he did nothing in this game to try to push him over the line. And then you look at all the stuff, you look at John Smith and all the crack he's going on there. The fact that we've got about 2 or 3 days here of reveling in the fact that the Belfast Giants, with their 80 points to Sheffield 77, to Nottingham 74, to Cardiff 68, that the Belfast Giants are once again champions of the Elite League. And I will just love this. What happens in the future doesn't matter to me right now. I've enjoyed the last couple of days, my friends. I've enjoyed them a great deal. And I think you know that. Anyway, the Belfast Giants have 2 games this weekend, both against the Dundee Stars. We did invite the friend of the show, Mark Lefebvre, Davey, but he's a bit busy tonight.
Dundee Stars have their fan event, but he sends his apology, and
I don't think that's a good
no doubt he'll be on 12 times next season.
I was looking forward to a third different Trump T-shirt is what I was looking forward to tonight. But the game 7 p.m. at the SSE Arena on Saturday, 5 p.m. at Dundee Ice Arena on Sunday. Anything about that says the fact that we play at home first? Is that because I don't think that we'll talk about the other games in just a second, but there's no gimmies here.
No, but again, when you're a successful team and you have to play in an arena, you sort of have to go with the arena schedule. We've got Portland in, 2 or 3 days later, and the ice has to be prepared for that. So it's not, we have to cover the logos up. Everything's got to be spray painted. The barriers have got to come off. There's a lot of different things you take into these. We could have played Friday night. Actually, no, we couldn't because there's a gig on Friday night. So you're literally, it's all these little things that a lot of people just think that, you click your fingers and it's magically done. That's not the case. Would you like to have played second? I don't think it really matters anymore. Whatever game you play, home or away, it's going to be difficult. So hopefully we can put ourselves in a good position with a solid result on Saturday. But the Dundee Stars are a tough nut to crack. They've beat us the last 2 times we've played them, I believe, from memory. And, it's going to be a tough ask because, our Mark Lefebvre will have them well drilled and ready to go, and they'll be buzzing about being, in the playoffs again, because they had a battle with the Manchester Storm over the last few weeks. So it's they'll be ready to go. So they're coming into Belfast on Friday, and so they get the extra, the overnight rest, and they'll be ready to go as well. So they're taking it seriously as well.
Davey, as Sis said, we've played Dundee so many times. We've played Dundee now more than we've played any other club in the Elite League this season, and we've got 2 more games against them. They are a good side. They've shown that they fought hard for that 8th place. They knocked Manchester out, who put on a good battle. Ultimately, Manchester fell short on the basis that they lost in overtime to the Fife Flyers. Credit to them. Fife Flyers also having an announcement that they are sort of finalising new ownership and hope to be in the Elite League next season. But coming back to Dundee, that's a tough game.
Yeah, there's no gimmies. I know what you're talking about, of the potential of the advantage of having the second leg at home. However, it does mean we only have to travel once. Dundee have to travel twice as well. So there's different ways. You know me, always try to find a positive out of any situation. But that would be the one that I would take out of that after what has been an emotionally draining couple of weeks for us. And you heard the captain at the start of the show saying about they're having a few days of R&R here, and to get back in and have the home crowd first to re-energize them. They'll need to be. This would be a game. It's a long. This is going to be a difficult game. None of the playoff quarterfinals. I know we always try and predict them. This is one season where I don't think any of the games are like that's definitely them and that's definitely them to win. I think all 4 games can go either way. We have to be on our mettle for the full 120 minutes and potentially even 125 minutes. We have to be ready from the first buzzer from that biscuit drops on Saturday night. We have to be on our game because less than 24 hours later, you're back in Dundee. Hard rink to go to. We've had our challenges with them this season. They are no mugs. Well-drilled team, good coach, good players. Some players, probably ourselves as well, but there's be some players, this will be their last game. And on Sunday, it'll be their last game in the UK. Ben O'Connor, wasn't it, said
retirement.
So there'll be other players that see someone there said Sam Herr from Nottingham.
Sam Herr today announced his retirement.
So this weekend for a lot of players around this league, it'll be the last time they'll be potentially putting a jersey on. So no one, everybody wants to extend their career by one more game. And this weekend's, the first opportunity to try and extend into the quarterfinals, into the semi-final, and then hopefully on the final for the Belfast Giants. But, no gimmies here. We have to be on our game to get through this quarter.
the games this weekend, as we see, 7 p.m. on Saturday at the SSE Arena. You get that in Giants TV, no doubt, Simon. I was humble enough to I was pleasure enough to be on the Connor Phillips show earlier today, and we were talking about the sellouts and stuff that will happen at the SSE Arena. No doubt that this must be close as well.
It's nearly done. It's nearly sold out. Webcast will be, we'll be on the webcast on Saturday night again.
It was good to hear you again, mate. Good to hear you in that again.
But you know what? I had a bit of slagging from the away fans, which it does hurt me, and that's not a lot of touch back, mate. Couldn't
not even touch the sides, mate.
Obviously the big save from Jackson right at the end of the second period, and then the overtime winner, you sort of, get a wee scream and listen. I'm a fan. I would have done it exactly.
It's called Giants TV, mate.
Yeah, no, but even at that, if I had been standing downstairs, I would have done exactly the same thing. So no, I couldn't care less what to think. I enjoyed it, and I got a few positive comments about it from Giants fans. So it was good to get the OT winner on Saturday night. Good to be on the show, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be doing this Saturday night as well. With whom to be decided and confirmed.
That game will be live on Giants TV, 7 p.m. on Saturday, and then over to Dundee Ice Arena for the guy, and you catch that on Stars TV. So the other games, boys, as we traditionally do at this point, the other games are Sheffield against Glasgow, Nottingham against Guildford, Cardiff against Coventry. What isn't tradition is normally I don't go first, but I am going to go first here to give you boys a bit of a chance. No, I've written down Belfast automatically for you, so that's fine. When it comes to the other three, I'm going to go for Glasgow to beat Sheffield. Now, I think that the game and what's happened to Sheffield, and they'll probably take a few days off, but the fact that the Glasgow have to play on Friday, I think is a big thing, and I think it's going to hurt the Sheffield Steelers. So I think I'm going to go for Glasgow, Nottingham, and Coventry all to proceed. So it's Belfast, Glasgow, Nottingham, and Coventry to be the final four. David, who's your final four?
What are the matchups? Give me them.
Sheffield against Glasgow.
I think I know a little something that's going on there, so I think Sheffield will get through there.
Okay.
Who's next?
Nottingham against the Guildford Flames.
Panthers.
Nottingham. And the final one is probably the tightest one to call, which is Cardiff against Coventry.
Coventry will have a bit of pep in their step here from, a little bit of momentum off that Sunday night win against the Sheffield Steelers. That's a difficult one to call. Who's home first?
Good shout. 2 seconds. Let's go. I do have the Elite League Game Centre open, which is the first game is Coventry at home. Saturday at 7
I think a Sunday night fixture in Cardiff with the momentum of that crowd and stuff. Depends how tight Saturday is, but I'll just go because of the second leg at home. I'll probably take Cardiff just to squeak through that one.
You just don't want any text messages from Franny. Okay,
traditional as yours with Stu and very magnanimous text message from Franny, as always, congratulating. So, friend of the show, I know he'll be watching. Hi, Franny. Thanks for the text.
Simon, your final four, please.
I think that Sheffield will beat Glasgow. I think it'll be very, very tight, but I think Sheffield will sneak through. Nottingham's a team to watch in the playoffs for me.
I think so, hugely.
I think they could probably. I mean, obviously, I would really want us to win it, but I think they could be the one team to beat for sure. I think they'll beat Guildford, and I've just got a sneaking suspicion that Coventry might beat Cardiff.
Okay, so Simon is Belfast, Sheffield, Nottingham, and Coventry. David is Belfast, Sheffield, Nottingham, and Cardiff, and I've went for Belfast, Glasgow, Nottingham, and Coventry. Share with us on at AVFTB who you think will make the final four. Any other business, boys?
Yes, I have quite a bit. Please bear with me. This Saturday is we've had a request. We're doing a PJ collection anyway, but we've had a request from the Royal Hospitals and for hospitals all over Northern Ireland that they need a bit of help with regards to a few items which that they would really help their coffers, and then help the kids and patients of the hospitals around the place. We've had a request from the RVH with regards to their charity, the Little Heroes. So if anybody would like to go and purchase pajamas, PJs, basically bring them to door one. And we also have other items asked for as well. This is coming from the hospitals. Baby and toddler vests, books, colouring items, bibs, gowns, blankets, hairbrushes, baubles, scrunchies, dressing gowns and blankets. We will put this up on the AVFTB Twitter and socials, and it'll be on the Giants this week as well. But all these items are really, they're really desperate to try and get hold of them. So anything they can do to get hold of them, we'd really, really appreciate it. Also, Adam Keefe testimonial was announced a few weeks ago. Save the date. But also they are we're starting to put out regarding sponsorships. So that was put out today. If you go to the Belfast Giants socials, you can click on the link and put your details in there. We do have some sponsorship deals available, and anybody wanting to get their hands. When I was on the phone earlier on, I was actually speaking with the start of the show, speaking to Darryl Lloyd. He's busting to get back, absolutely busting. Can't wait for it. So I was going to bring him on the podcast tonight, but with so many things happening, maybe get things on down the line. But yes, anything, yeah, we'll get that on for that down the line. The items, sorry, just for reiterate, the items that we've asked for the hospital, they have to be new. We're not looking second hands. We're not looking hand-me-downs. I hope you don't take that the wrong way, people, but it all has to be new. So anything you can do to help, please, please, please help. We are also doing this week, we're doing a wee bit different. Instead of shirt off the back, we're doing the helmets off the head. Now, before anybody gets saying, oh, this is my idea. No, it wasn't. It was Steve Thornton's idea. We were going to do this back in January when we wore them for the 25th anniversary weekend. We were only going to wear them that weekend. The players really liked them, so that's why we held on to them at the end of the season.
Undefeated wearing them.
We're undefeated as it currently stands. So hopefully that continues till the end of the season. And the boys will then, as I say, they're going to be up for helmet off the head this Saturday, and then you can collect them at the end of the season after the playoff weekend, probably at the awards night, which is on the 21st. So yeah, we'll get that, but that'll be pretty special. And I know Davey's busting for one. He's not the only. I've had a lot of people who have interest, and we've had a lot of positive comments on socials today about them. But yes, it's. I think they're brilliant. I think they're fantastic. They look great. And lastly, thank you to everybody that managed to buy raffle tickets for Jeff Baum's Titanic. There was a winner announced. I can't remember her name. I'm really sorry.
I'll find her name.
If you might have it there. And the total raised after fees were taken out for raffle is £1,895.40. And
Emer Fallon.
Congratulations, Emer. If you want to, I think Laura was already contacted her, but if you want to reach out to us, we'll organise to get the ship sailed over to you. I mean, in all fairness, that's better chance of staying together than the Titanic had in 1912. And I'm pretty sure that money for Jeff Baum is going to the Royal Hospital charity, which is Little Heroes. So thanks to Jeff Baum for making it. Thanks to Jeff Baum for donating it. And thanks to everybody for sticking their hand in their pocket and buying raffle tickets. Also, last thing, keep your eye on socials tomorrow. We're going to have another raffle up for grabs, which I know people are going to want to get their hands on. That's all I'm saying at the minute.
Oh.
Laura has emailed, by the way. Laura has emailed about the Emer's email, but she hasn't get back there yet. So Emer, if you're watching or if anybody knows Emer, please get in contact with her. Tell her to get and reach out to us as soon as possible.
Fantastic. I mean, you talked about the testimonial there, obviously today as well. The GOAT, Colin Shields, announced as the next name on the roster for the Adam Keefe testimonial, which, save the date, it's going to be an absolutely phenomenal weekend out in June. And I think, boys, 2 hours and 5 minutes. I think that's us more or less done. 2 games for the Belfast Giants this weekend. The quarterfinals of the playoffs against the Dundee Stars at the SSE Arena at 7 p.m. on Saturday, and then away in the Dundee Ice Arena on Sunday at 5 p.m. You get that on Stars TV, and if you can't get down to the SSE on Saturday, you can get that, of course, on Giants TV. Time to run out the show. Do you know what? I'm going to run out the show by putting this picture up again because I really just love it. Look at Marco's face. So a big thanks to Bobo Carpenter, to Mark Cooper, to Robert Fitzpatrick, and of course to Mark Brooks for coming to join us on this show. Big thanks to you two boys. Good to see us. Great to see the Belfast Giants win yet another championship. You can get us at AVFTB on Twitter. Go on, Simon. You want something to say?
Was just out of interest, was the Brooksy announcement of Premier Sports an exclusive?
I believe it was. I went on the Elite League website to say to see if it was on there. It's not on there. So yes, it was an exclusive here on A View from the Bridge. It was that the playoff final will be screened live on Premier Sports. You'll also be able to get it the whole weekend on Elite League TV. So that's up to you as to how you watch the playoff finals weekend. But yes, an exclusive here on A View from the Bridge, Premier Sports, for the playoff final. Big thanks for Brooksy for sharing that, and the fact that we're going to have if you're there at the playoffs on Friday night, Saltbox will have a bit of a playoff party, including the playoff trophy and some representatives from all the four teams taking place in the semi-final. At AVFTB on Twitter, /X, Facebook, Instagram, and all your normal sort of podcast providers. You can get us on YouTube and all that sort of stuff. David, Simon, good to see you, and good to have another championship under the belt.
Yeah, it was. It's never been a chore to be a Belfast Giants fan, and I'm very, very proud of the boys at the weekend to get across the line in what has been at times a difficult season. But as Simon said at the very start, the cream generally always rises to the top, and the team with the most points are always worthy champions. I don't use Twitter all that much anymore, but I've seen stuff on Twitter about the worst team ever to win a league. Whenever we're sitting in 5 or 10 years now, looking at that banners hung in the rafters, they won't remember how many points we had. We just remember that we had enough points, and I'm very proud to be a Belfast Giant this week.
You know what? I'm just going to you fired a picture up there on WhatsApp, mate. I'm just going to let you let's Simon have his say, and then I'm going to put that picture up.
Say about what?
About winning the championship. How good it makes you feel, Simon.
It's what you said earlier on, Patrick. It's what Robert Fitzpatrick says. It's just what we do.
It certainly is. Give me a second just to pull this picture up, because David, there was a picture there shared with us there. There it is.
Yeah, the club put this picture up on their social media earlier this week. I mentioned earlier on the show. Simon mentioned as well. Adam, George, Mace, Stewie, the boiler room, the boot room, whatever you want to call them, but. And
do you know what? When things aren't going well, people start pointing fingers at different aspects of it. And some of the things that I know we're sort of prolonging the podcast here. So big thank you to big numbers tonight. But big thanks to everybody who's who are still with us. But when the Belfast Giants aren't doing well, fingers get pointed. And one of the things that people point fingers at is the fact that we have 4 coaches. We have a head coach and 3. I said no. This sort of idea of there being too many cooks. There you have 4 smiling faces of 4 people who work damn hard for this club, damn hard for this team, and are able to put out a team that won yet another championship. Davey, you want to say something?
And when the going gets tough, every one of those guys, bar Stewie, of course, because he doesn't do social media and stuff, they've all turned up on this podcast. Feel difficult questions at difficult times when results haven't gone our way. But there's not a trophy that's ever been won by the Belfast Giants that hasn't had Rob Stewart's fingerprints on it. George Owada has won everything. Jeff Mason has won everything. You've already mentioned tonight about what Adam has won as a player and as a coach. And if you want your DNA to be, to carry on, that's what you want in your back room, in your office, when the first office when you come in through the back door, where those guys sit and work the Simon, for goodness sake. Anyway, I'm finished.
Simon, last word to you.
Yeah, look, I get to work with these guys all day, every day, and believe you me, sometimes they can be a pain in the ass with regards to some of the requests they come out with, and I mean, just drop everything and get something done, and we do our best to try and make that happen. But you look at the opportunity. People, you talk about Danny Stewart. When we had Danny on the other a few weeks ago, Danny was saying all he has to do now is concentrate on hockey. Whereas before, when he was in Coventry, he had to do the travel, he had to do the schedules for the ice, he had to do a lot of different things. George, a lot of people, this is the thing where fans just assume that when things aren't going your way, to sort of slag the coaches off because we've got 4 behind the bench. There's a reason we've got 4 behind the bench. George also looks after the travel. So, I would not like to be in George's position of having to look after the travel. He does all the coach bookings, the hotels, all the flights, and get everything organized. Adam literally does everything that that it basically says on the book, because he's just that heavily involved. Mace looks after a lot of our different things that we have behind the scenes with regards to the Friendship 4, the Friendship Series. And still coaches the Giants every day. Rob Stewart looks after the junior development program that we have with all these ex-Giants that we have involved with it now, in the likes of Mark Morrison, Shane Johnson, Mark Garcia was mentioned last week, Stephen Murphy. So they've all got other roles within the club that a lot of people don't realize, and that's why they're all there. But they're there because Adam wants them there and Steve wants them there, and they've shown that how important they are to the whole role of being successful. Another trophy that every other coach, no matter they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 behind the bench, would like to get their hands on, and that's just what we do. Move on.
2 league-winning captains, 2 league-winning defensemen, 4 league-winning coaches, and we couldn't be prouder of them. Gentlemen, thank you very much for tonight. Thank you to everybody who's tuned in, send in messages, helped us celebrate the 8th league title in the history of the Belfast Giants. And wherever you are this weekend, we hope you enjoy your hockey, and we'll catch you here next time on A View from the Bridge.